What's going on, guys? Big Larry here. I just want to go ahead and try a new view for you guys, as opposed to staring at me, my ugly mug. I'm going to let you stare at the product. Alright, I know you don't want to stare at me, and I don't want to look at me. So, anyways, let's go back into it. Let's go right into it. Today we're doing a review of, I want to bring you the Blu-ray edition of Stallone Rambo Complete Collector Set. Kind of covered it up, but the Complete Collector Set, it holds movies 1 through 4 of the Rambo movies. And as you can see, focusing on that, featuring a legend from the Expendables, which I have yet to see. I need to go see that. Well, probably as soon as it comes on Blu-ray, I'll pick it up. I'm not much of a theater person myself. It has to really draw me in for a theater movie, and that's just not going to do it, even though I am super excited for it. So let's jump right into it. Bought this at Walmart for about 40 bucks. It was a pretty good deal for 4 movies, $10 Blu-rays. I'm always picking those up. I love them. So it starts off with, let me go and get this little cardboard, tell you about the movie, put your stickers on it kind of case, which is nice. It keeps the stickers off your movie, I guess, but otherwise, it's trash. So let's start off here. We got the Rambo big nice Rambo knife complete collector set. You guys can read that. Walk around the back here. You got a nice picture of Rambo from, I believe that was Rambo 2, maybe 3. I'm not sure. And then it kind of tells you that the usual stuff, the who directed it, so on and so forth, the rate ratio, running time, yada yada yada. About all 4 movies, 1, 2, 3, and all the way down here is 4. So my biggest thing was I wasn't sure how they had all these movies packaged up. I looked at it online. I was hoping it was 4 separate movies. Of course, it's not. It's all on one case. But the good thing is they do have, each has their own individual disc, which was a big plus. Had it been on all one disc, I'd probably taken it back. So, anyways, let's open it up. And oh, by the way, I want to show you guys here. It's just a little thicker. Let me go ahead and pull another movie out to reference it. Avatar here. It's just a little thicker than an average Blu-ray. So if you use a specially designed slot system to keep these in place, then I don't think it'll affect it. I mean, it's just a hair bigger. Shouldn't affect it at all. But otherwise this might be sitting on top of your desk or on top of the collection itself. So let's jump right into it and how to do it. Now you open it up. You got here the also available on Blu-ray free TP. That's what I consider it. And the way they have these movies, actually, I like the way they have these movies. They have them just a couple of pages, kind of like a book style, and they have them double-sided on it. So you have Rambo 1, or rather Stallone First Blood, which is the first in the series. Then you have Stallone Rambo First Blood Part Dose 2, second in the series. Stallone Rambo 3, which is no longer considered First Blood at all. And then you have Rambo, which is Part 4. So I'm just going to run through real quick in these movies. I'm not going to go crazy with them. I'm not going to tell you every little plot, because we got, 10 minutes to go through 4 movies. I probably have 6 minutes left now. All talking I would do. Anyways, First Blood Part 1. This is a 1982 movie from VHS. CD wasn't even around in 1992, I don't believe. I'm sure it was, but... So the transfer from VHS to Blu-ray was actually fantastic. I loved it. It's not a typical Blu-ray super clear. I mean, you gotta figure it was shot with 1982 technology and transferred over to Blu-ray. But otherwise, it's a fantastic transfer. A little grainy here and there, but otherwise, great. Now, the story of First Blood, for those of you youngins who don't know, this will change your life right here. I love this movie. It's John Rambo. So Stallone just got out of Vietnam. He's walking. I don't know where he's walking. It never says where he's walking. But he's just walking through a town, just wants to get something to eat and leave out of the town. That's all he wants to do. So the sheriff, for some reason, doesn't like drifters, and they consider him a drifter, which kind of what it is. So they want to give him a ride to town. Long story short, they end up giving him a hard time, arresting him for being a drifter. Just a bunch of BS. They give him the hardest thing. They spray him down. He ends up snapping, beating the hell out of the whole police squad, and going off in the jungle. And then it's Stallone, which you find out later is a super Green Beret, but believable, in a sense. And then it's him versus the National Guard and that small town's sheriff's department. I'm not going to go too much into that, but it is a kick-ass movie. It's not just an action movie, but there's actually a story under it about how when the Vietnam vets came back, how they were actually treated. And this is kind of the way they're not to an extreme, but they were treated this way. Just baby killers and this and that, and they fought for whatever. But anyways, I'm not going to dive into the political part of it. But movie A+. I love this movie. Well, it's not getting an A+, but love this movie. All right, so let's move on to part 2. Now, this one is completely different than part 1. This is more Rambo, the army guy, and goes on mission and does this and does that. It's story driven. He goes in to take pictures, and that is all. To take pictures. Do not engage the enemy, they say, of possible POWs or prisoners of war. Long story short, I'm sure you know Rambo ends up getting his hands into it. They try to build a love story into it. It doesn't work. The movie itself is just heavy on the story, and that's kind of what they try to drive through the story, tell about Rambo, give a little more of an idea about him. And it's kind of one of those things that I think had to be done eventually, because part 1 just didn't do it. But they almost made the action take a backseat. So this is not a great movie by any means. It's not a horrible movie, but I didn't like it. This one I watched once. I'll probably never watch it again. Now, Rambo 3. Now, if you've seen Hot Shots Part 2, that's what this movie's about. We're not about it. Hot Shots Part 2 completely spoofed off of Rambo 3 completely. The whole time I was watching it, I kept thinking, where the hell is Charlie Sheen? But yeah, it starts off as he's in Thailand. He's a fighter. They want him to go on a mission. He says no. So the person that trained him goes on the mission for him, or was going to go with him, but goes instead. Ends up getting captured. Becomes a prisoner of war. They tell Rambo, kind of knowing that Rambo's going to go after him. Sure shit, Rambo goes to Afghanistan. Joins with the refugees, and then proceeds to try to get his friend, or his what they call his friend and his teacher, the guy who taught him everything he knows about being a Green Beret, out. So it's actually not bad. They kind of seem that they got the whole story out in part 2. They went a little more in the action in part 3. This is actually a fun movie. Not heavy on the story, but it was a fun movie nonetheless. I like it. Not as good as part 1, but better than part 2. So, all right, so we're going to move on from there. Oh, by the way, just want to let you know, part 2, this movie drags on. It is only 1 minute longer than part 1, but this seems like it's super quick done. So good. This seems like it's 10 hours long. It's only 96 minutes, I believe, 95, 96 minutes. But it drags on. But it's good to know kind of how Rambo works, how he thinks, what his mentality is. And that really does go and dive into his mentality in this movie. Now we're going to go into part 4. Bam. This movie was actually the first one of the whole Rambo series I saw. I saw this before I saw part 1. But I love this movie so much, I had to go back and get this and watch the original ones. This movie is a standalone movie. You don't have to watch the rest of them in order to watch Rambo. So don't think you have to. It kind of, I don't want to say it fills you in. It almost stands away from the rest of the movies. Just kind of gives you, here's Rambo, yada. Starts off with missionaries pay him to take him. I mean, he's in Thailand or something, just trying to live his days out. They pay him to take him upriver and basically drop them off in a war zone so they can take medical supplies and all that stuff to villagers. Rambo at first says no, but the story has to go. So eventually he ends up taking them. They get kidnapped, become prisoners of war. Similar to part 2 and 3. So anyways, the priest from the church that the missionaries came from ends up hiring a bunch of mercenaries, and they want Rambo to take the mercenaries to where he dropped the missionaries off. So they do that. Long story short, Rambo and the mercenaries end up going in and working on getting these missionaries back. Okay, there's a lot to it, a lot more to that than just that. But this movie is great. Is it as good as Part 1? No. I'll let you know right now. Part 1, best Stallone or best First Blood movie. Best Rambo movie. After that, Rambo's Part 2. Rambo's number 2. I love this one. Part 3 is probably behind that, and Part 2 is the worst. Not to say it's horrible again, just the worst of the collection. Best movie though. You have to see this movie if you have not. It makes you respect Stallone in a whole new way. All right, so that's a review of the whole thing, of the story and all that stuff. The transfers on these aren't bad from a VHS, 1980s movie. They did a good job on the transfer for this one, though. I'll tell you that much. Oop, and there goes the DVD. That's what happens with these thin ones. Fall out every once in a while. No big deal. You keep them cased up. This, though, looks fantastic on Blu-ray. I don't know what they did, but it looks fantastic. I love it. So anyways, I'm running out of time here, guys. I'm going to go ahead and give this whole collection $10 a movie, about 40 bucks and change with tax. For this whole collection, all in one nice, sleek case. I'm going to go ahead and give this one a nice B+. Just for the value, for the, for Part 1 and Part 2 alone, I would happily pay $20 each. So it's going to go ahead and get itself a B+. Alright guys, this is Big Larry, and got more reviews on the way. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Remember, subscribe, rate, and comment. Let me know what you guys think of what's the best Rambo movie for you guys, or maybe some of the movies you want me to review. Anyways, this is Big Larry. I'm checking out. You guys have a good one. Later.